live or if you're planning on being here during that week, but everyone's invited, and just happy to be here and be a part of everything, be a part of the team. So thank you for having me on the call, and I look forward to getting to know you guys better as we continue these calls and really create a lot of beautiful things for the planet. Thank you.
We just went live on YouTube. Kelsey, do you want to give a quick recap of the call to action?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Just speaking about the blue economy with Logos Capital and what we're preparing for Art Basel Miami. Coming together, calling forth all artists and activists and creators who would like to be a part of our show, creating ocean NFT art to raise funding and resources to clean our oceans and clean our waters. So we'll be working together to partner a lot of nonprofit organizations, projects, and causes with artists. And if you're not an NFT artist yet, that's okay. If you're a painter, photographer, ceramic artist, all of these things are perfect. Just really wanting to come together in the spirit of creation and co-creation with our visionary artists around the world to create art and really make an impact. So we'll be curating the show for the next 4 weeks and really accepting all kinds of applications or any artists who want to be a part of it. So you can feel free to reach out to us. My Instagram is Isla Moon X Essence, so you can DM me there. And we can put out some more announcements on places that'll be good to submit artwork for and have something official and a landing page for that as well. But for now, we're also keeping this very high touch and boutique and really close contact. So I really want to work with everybody one-on-one that comes through and make sure that everybody's receiving all the attention they deserve. So please feel free to contact me, send me your art, and I'm happy to make room for all the beautiful curations and things that we can do together for the ocean. So I'm very much specifically looking for things themed aquatic, marine, and ocean for this Blue Economy Club. And with that, I feel complete, and I will pass it back to you, Sylvia.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Moon. All right. And so we have a couple of updates. I think that today's special presenter is going to be Pedram. Pedram, you want to come online, talk about some of the great work that you're doing in robotics, AI, and what's happening here in Miami, Biscayne Bay?
Sure. I mean, I don't know if it's great work. It's original work, I would say. I learned about the project just because it sounded like a project that I would do. Yelka and Marcos I invited on the call, but they haven't gotten on. But the basic intro for how I got into that was Yelka sent me a GoFundMe page for Green Planet Waterways. And the idea was pretty simple, is to remove the stressors that were killing the seagrass. And with that, killing the marine life population. So I essentially was asked to join the board, and we've talked about how do we get this system, operational. Right now, we are working on a manned system that incorporates filtration processes. And, I think the potential there is in combining autonomous systems and mobile robotics with these types of remediation vessels that, their main purpose is to leave the water in a state where it can support seagrass. So, I don't actually have anything visually prepared. The boat is currently dry docked. and where we've been spending some of our focus is in collecting data from the buoys and from FIU. We recently got access to storm drain sensor data, and there is a interconnect between the IBM Florida Hackathon, which is kind of related to using machine learning for prediction of the fish kill situations in the bay. And another project that we are connected to is also an X Prize, where there is, the capability now of using a genomic kind of data science approach. And there's this company called Naturmetrics and a drone company called Dendra that they're working together to, one is above canopy and the other, they do eDNA testing. So we're hoping to be able to utilize that platform as a research vessel to also be able to launch these, different smaller mobile robotics that are able to either do water sample testing and bring that back directly to the lab, making that process more repeatable. And the other side of it is how do you make it a little bit more transparent? And in regards to transparency, I think blockchain can be very essential. And one of the areas that I think has a lot of potential to curb the stressors that our industries create to the environment is really in connecting the city systems in a way. So when they assign a permit, they're not checking once a year for situations where people could be polluting for 300 days of that year. You need to have some way of having back pressure from being able to cause the damage in the first place. We also have some aspects related to the NFT space. The organization was donated about $200,000 worth of art, and I 3D scanned it in, so hopefully I'll have that ready before Art Basel, and introduce it in a way that you can navigate through that environment and be able to look at the artwork, which is a type of acrylic paint that is textured. So there was a reason to kind of 3D scan it in. And the NFT would be a one of one, and it would go with the actual artwork. And that's pretty much it. I'm hoping to kind of bring in enough attention and funding to be able to get the boat out of dry dock, apply the protein skimmer, the filtering processes, the dissolved oxygen processes, and the other.
Awesome. No, that's great, Pedram. Please find some pictures of the vessel. That'd be great. How much is the company seeking in funding? And maybe you can talk about how many phases, how long it's taken for them to get to this stage, what some of the research that they're intending to do is for the goals on the bay, and maybe how much capital is needed at this phase, and what does the next phase entail?
Sure. I mean, vessel-wise, it kind of looks like this. These are the types of boats that are pretty common in the travel industry in South Florida, and its main purpose is to remediate the low oxygen situation, which is suffocating the fish in the bay.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing, Pedram.
No problem.
Yeah, and great work, obviously. I look forward to learning more about that project. Do you know what the funding targets are?
I know we need to get 100,000 together to get the boat out of dry dock and operationalized to be able to follow waypoints, and to be able to ramp it up. We need to launch that first and establish some of the data points, which tells us how many thousands of gallons per water we're pulling in, and what the sensor values change to show how much cleaner the water is coming out, and then be able to identify how many we need, how often they need to be deployed, and then the next challenge is to integrate the Swarm software, which will basically use the boat as the thing that finds a waypoint that's established by smaller craft, which is used to find pollution and high amounts of garbage or algae, which needs to be removed.
Much needed. All right, and we have Daniel. Anything else, Pedram?
No, that's it. It was just I need to get the simulation of what I've been describing, and I think once we can show that visually how it operates, that'll enable us to do a better funding raise, because people will be able to see it and understand it. And it's also useful in actually programming these autonomous robots and giving them a sense of experience when they get deployed out into the real world, because they'll be able to practice in simulation for thousands of hours, technically millions of hours.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, really amazing work. And we have so many amazing companies that did present just last week with the first Seaworthy Collective cohort. Daniel, you want to talk a little bit about the great accomplishment and milestone here for the local community and all the great companies that got to present? All right, Daniel might be, taking some time off the vacation, might be having a technical difficulty. But Greg, Lewis, I don't know if there's anything else you guys would like to add in terms of what else has been happening at large at the Blue Economy Club. Any other updates on your end, or Dr. Enoch? Anything else that you might like to add on different updates are also welcome.
Daniel said you got to unmute him. He can't unmute himself.
Interesting. Okay. Second, has to unmute. Okay, I'm trying to unmute you, Daniel. All right. Seems like that's not working. Hey, Connor, how are you?
To talk briefly about the pilot. So John and I talked to my partner that we met the other day, and I mean,
all right. Greg, do you want to give a couple of updates on what you saw? Well, we're waiting on Daniel's difficulty.
Sure. Let me unmute here, and I thought it was a wonderful presentation by 10 wonderful startups. Some startups making food we can eat with algae and sea cucumbers. Some more onto the ocean engineering side of things. The synergy between the startups was amazing, and the presentations was, extremely professional for something that's only been going on for a few months. And these startups really seem to be thriving under Daniel's and the Seaworthy Collective's mentorship and tutelage there. So, go to the Seaworthy site and take a look at the startups and, see if there's ways that you can help with them or use their services. So, I'm sure Daniel would have a much bigger speech, but, I was just impressed by, everything that's going on and how everybody is working together to make it, successful. So, I mean, if there's any questions about it, please ask Daniel, but,
Greg,
so
what's the
that
web
side of
address?
things. Seaworthycollective.com.
Thank you.
I mean, hopefully everybody can hear me because I'm sitting outside in the rain down here in the Keys tonight.
Yeah,
Um,
we can hear you. I'll put the link for, oops, I put the wrong link. It's Green Planet Waterways.
That's a good link also. We should.
All right, wonderful. Sorry, 1 second. I'm hosting call. Great. So, and we got Don. Don also made it to the line. Hey, Don, welcome. I see that you're unmuted. Greg, thanks so much for that intro. That basically covers everything, guys. Some of the updates that we had from a new business in terms of the NFTs for impact for the ocean and the Biscayne Bay and a lot of the water projects. Pedram covering the technology that's being developed here with robotics and autonomous robots to clean the bay. Greg giving some updates on the Seaworthy Collective cohort, and of course Kelsey, thank you so much for all the curation. I guess that covers it for tonight's call, guys. And we'll have the next call in a couple of weeks. We'll be presenting more solutions and more updates on the projects. I'll leave the line open. Any comments, questions?
No, I'll also post a little link for the block for the project I've been helping with, Algoana, which is basically iguana NFTs on Algorand. And they just had one list for 20,000 Algorand. So the project is getting pretty popular. And I've basically written a blockchain game that's running on testnet right now. And I think we can reuse the project to benefit other environmentally focused things. Algoana's, they donate to plant 10 trees with each NFT. And I really like these kind of circular economies where the tokenomics drives restoration. And I think a lot of the ideas that I've been hearing from, all you guys and some of the people in the space are promising. And I look forward to seeing more.
Looks like Daniel will be connecting in a second, but we have our next call scheduled for December 14th. So everybody should put that on their calendars. So we'll have some good guest speakers on the 14th.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here with all of you guys and here. Thank you, Sylvia.
And anybody who's interested in actually working on coral restoration, come join me down here in the Keys.
That sounds cool, man.
Always can use more help.
How's the weather out there?
Right now, it's rainy and yucky, but as long as it's not lightning, we're gonna get wet anyway, so who cares?
Do you use cement to plant the corals?
No, some people in Belize do it that way, but we use epoxy to take the little baby corals and epoxy them to some of the old dead corals.
That makes sense. I've been wondering, how would you do that with a robot?
Well, my background there is the coral tree farm where we actually, hang the baby corals in the water stream in the column. It's very shallow, so they get lots of sunlight and they get lots of water filtration. So they grow extremely fast. And then once they get to a reasonable size, plant them on top of some old dying coral. And then, in a couple of years, you have a new coral reef blooming. So, and people are doing this in Belize, in Australia. I've heard of some stuff going on in Honduras right now, but probably every place where there's coral reefs is probably starting to do this, if not, doing it on a local level.
Right, but I'm just thinking, we've had 2 or 3 cataclysmic coral die-offs that I think they've cut the coral worldwide in half or less than half.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I'm thinking, how do you scale it with the smallest and cheapest robot to
Well, the most tedious part of this whole thing is cleaning off all the predators off of these coral trees, all the algae and worms and encrusting yuck that grows, So if you could have a robot that would just did household cleaning, that would be the most helpful thing right now. Because that's the most unglorious, time-consuming thing. Part of this is, going down and cleaning the trees all the time.
That's a good point. They just recently made, I think it was Facebook and Carnegie Mellon. It's a way of being able to see through your contact. And they did that by creating this gel that they project a light through the gel, and from the changing in the light and the magnetic fields, they can give the robotic the sense of touch. So to do that kind of cleaning, gush, as you put it, I think that would be an applicable technology, because it would give you the type of soft, dexterous touch that you need to clean something without destroying it or injuring it, I guess.
Has Daniel made it on, or?
No.
Just after we all hang up, he'll make it.
That's the way it goes. I was actually just thinking about how, since we don't have soft robotics, how bad the robotics must be for the animal industry. But anyway, the computer vision, I think, is really interesting to be able to guide small cognitive tasks, whether or not that is harvesting, reseeding, or cleaning. I think it would be really valuable to kind of create a data set around what you're describing, Like, here's what it looks like when you start. Here's what it looks like, as you're doing the process. And that could potentially be used to train a robot to do the menial labor.
It looks like we also lost Silvio at this point. So.
It's pretty much just me and you talking. It is.
Louis, you're awfully quiet. And Kiki, I don't think I've met you. Hi.
Hi, Greg. How you doing?
Okay, and you?
Nice to
What
meet
part
you.
of the world are you in?
Inspired by the coral reforestation.
Yeah, I'm down
Right
here
now?
in Key Largo now, doing that. Yep.
Right now, I'm immersing into some retreats to learn about how they are working, how they are making possible communities, regenerative communities. Now I'm in the Everland in Denver, Colorado, connecting with the burners to see how are they doing their models to lead and keep sustainable the communities, and it's very interesting. Starting another retreats tomorrow. Yeah, I'm mostly focused on communities and regenerative projects that are more in land more than in the sea. But I see a nice evolution to get into the coral,
Yeah.
like underwater.
Well, people don't realize, but
I would
coral
love to.
produces more oxygen than all of the forests combined.
Yeah, it's
So I
like
was very happy to
35 times
see,
faster.
Yeah, yep. So we need the forest,
nice.
but we need the coral too. So,
Oh, yeah. Actually, I was just diving in Costa Rica a couple of weeks ago, and I had a beautiful experience to hear whales. And it was such a good call and such a nice call to start looking the ocean, what's happening out there. Such a mystery, and yeah, it's so very little information. It's so hard to see that we forget about it. So thank you for bringing it in.
oh, always. So. Daniel's in the waiting room. I think without Silvio, we can't let him in, so. It's technology. We love to hate it.
Kike can let him in, or Kike. I don't know how you say your name.
Yeah, I
but
just did it.
okay.
I just did it.
Okay.
I just met them.
Okay.
Yeah, there they are.
How do you pronounce your name?
Welcome. Kike,
How do you say your
perfect.
name? Kike? Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this time I
Hey,
think
Daniel.
my audio is working.
Hey.
Oh, George just showed up also. Hey, George.
Hey George. But did
So
Sylvia
Daniel,
drop
I don't
off?
know. I gave a brief overview of your event because you were off at that point. Did you hear any of it?
No, yeah, I was trying to troubleshoot. I just got a new phone and the audio for Zoom totally didn't work. So sorry, but quick
Hello,
hit,
everybody.
Greg. How did you enjoy it? Oh,
Yeah, I'm sorry I was muted there, but I was trying to say hello back, Greg and Daniel. I know you've been swamped, man.
yes, and I'm currently supposed to be taking a week off, but I figured I'd say hi since I haven't been able to pop my head in a while and share, hopefully build a little bit on what Greg got to share about our event.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. You know, I like the sea cucumbers the best because they're the ugliest, obnoxious little creatures, but you know, somebody's got to love them. So the fact that you got some guys who love your sea cucumbers, that's really nice.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the Chinese apparently love them more. So, but it's a very honestly symbolic. I would say, opportunity of just, basically taking a sustainability problem and turning it into a regenerative solution and actual business opportunity. So it hits the nail on the head.
Right.
And Greg, I'm happy to give kind of a little bit of a rundown. I'm not sure what you got to share from your end, but I'm happy to share the operational side story. Other than,
Sure.
I'm sure Greg probably mentioned, it was an awesome event. We had over 120 people in person, 50 plus virtually, here at the Frost Science Museum, and basically had all but one of our startups be able to present. One of them unfortunately had to go back into stealth, but all that being said, we've really just now it's been it was 3 months of working with all these startups from all over the world that are really just setting the model and example for what we really see the regenerative blue economy looking like, and more than anything else, proving on our side that not only could we help them, but really create tangible collaboration and traction that puts Miami really on the map for blue tech. So it was just a really affirming evening of that, and getting to finally share all of our hard work now to basically wrap up. Really we were able to hit 84% of the KPIs that we set out with all of our startups, which was actually well above our initial goal. And beyond that, we're now officially doing our first round of funding, raising $1 million hybrid seed round between our nonprofit and for-profit. So those are kind of two of the big takeaways, but I'll link in the chat the full rundown of everything that happened as well.
Good. George, so you were in meetings all day, helping to defend the world?
Yeah, well, it's COP26 is going, so that has spun off at probably 5 or 6 different COP related summits, of which one is even an ocean related, that the 12 days from, and it's weird hours, it starts because it's Glasgow time, blah, 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 all that. So yeah, the first 2 days have been intense, and there's 10 more days left. And then, yeah, right after today's thing, yeah, I literally, that's the reason I was late getting to this. I just finished up a 90-minute with 3 other guys, some kind of a recording for a panel for kindness. In this Kindness Day, World Kindness Day this month or something. So yeah, life's busy, but it's all good. It's all for, one team, one purpose. Just whatever time, talent, treasures we've all got, we need to jump in and put our fins and boots on and get after it, because we're losing species.
Right. Good. Well, good. Keep up the good work.
Oh yeah, not to mention the second endorsement process is now swirling around, and there's literally, we have 100 projects to propose, because now you can actually even activities. So it's not just programs. So you can be a program was the first endorsement. Programs are there again, 2 different flavors, but now it's projects attached to programs, projects on their own, and things called activities. The difference between a program and a project is a big multi-country, multi-sector, multi-group thing, all supporting each other. Project that would be like a reef in Cozumel, perhaps, or something like that. An activity could be you're just going to do a march or something like that. And so now there's ways to get stuff like that endorsed also. So if you haven't been paying attention to the endorsement stuff, I highly recommend you, if you're a nonprofit or even a for-profit, because there's some of that stuff that they're going to look at too. So I would highly recommend, there's a lot of homework, and in general, you have until January 31st, but I wouldn't dilly-dally. It's complex, it's big, and it's complicated. Just based on the 25 NGOs I know I've got, intelligent people I know that I'm working with, and them trying to read the FAQ and the guidelines, they're being challenged. So I'm just using that as an example. It's going to be a challenge, but it's a great opportunity to, if nothing else, to get on that radar of UNESCO. So I'll get off my preaching bandwagon, but if I was anybody doing any of those kinds of things, I'd be doing this. It's my recommend. If you knew what I know, that's what you'd be doing. So,
well, that's why we like having you on these calls, George.
Yeah.
to get your input. That's very good.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
if-
say we still need that for sure. We applied last time and they basically said, I think before the categories, as you were mentioning, were really narrow. So
Yeah.
now we're hopefully gonna fall under one of those new categories.
Yeah,
and
you will, Daniel. And it was,
Awesome.
thank you for sharing for your SDG action to share your endorsement, I'll call it, information letter that said, sorry, we like what you're doing, but you're probably a project, not a program. And the difference between the letter that we got that said, we don't know what to do with you. We think you're a program, but we're going to try to take you and marry you up with somebody real soon, which now, so Melody's been endorsed. And so now we're going in the back door through, because Melody's one of our 25 groups. So now we have all the endorsement stuff we're privy to because of Melody. I happen to also be a board member and a shareholder, but even if we weren't, Melody's sharing that with our group. So again, we now have insights into the whole process from endorsement, what we don't know yet, but as soon as we do know, I will share, how do we turn endorsement into dollars? And that's what we've been waiting, because we're trying to figure out, I mean, all of this is the pilot phase. The Mesoamerican is only a pilot for 20 other ocean research centers across the Mesoamerican. So, but we have to do pilots to know where the bumps are, to work the kinks out. What do we need? What works, what doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. Again, I would encourage all of you, is there anybody in this group that doesn't know, if I say forum.oceandecade.org, that in the last two, because that's brand new, in the last 2 weeks, you have to re-register, blah, blah, blah. I'll put that in the chat if nobody here has already got it and done it. Daniel,
Yeah,
you
no,
had to
put
get
it in the chat for future reference so that, even when people look back at this, it's there. So,
Oh, is it? I thought that stuff all got wiped out.
no, please put it in the chat. Yeah.
Okay, I'll put it in the chat. But this is
Yeah.
what you,
I'm
even if
interested.
you're registered, your voluntary commitment with the United Nations, it's another registration. It's important. It's necessary. But this is the Decade of Ocean stuff. It's another place to register. It's brand new, less than 2 weeks old. And this is think of it, this is the Facebook of the Decade of Ocean Action. You can interact directly with people at UNESCO. You can interact with all these different platforms that they put up and actions. So you can go and literally get the email and the contact, go watch their little video, whatever's up there, and say, oh shit, they're doing. So there's like 23 programs you can attach to. And yeah, I assure you, plus you can do it on your standalone. You can do a project thing. So the opportunity's there. But you have to register first. So and it's a 3-step. I'm glad I'm taking 1 extra second. I'll try to put a little note in there, but I want to say it. So here's what was discovered. So you go and register for this Forum Ocean Decade thing. You get an email back in 3 days that says you're approved or disapproved. Assuming you're approved, now further down in that same email, so it comes back and says, hey, congratulations, you're approved. 99% of us, that's as far as we read, boom, we go on. Later in that same email is a place to activate it's like you're accepting their acceptance of you. If you don't do that, it doesn't finalize your truth. So you apply, get it, and then get it approved, and then you have to activate. And people are missing that activate step. And without that, you do not get on the right mail list to get all the stuff that's the important information. That's the only way you're getting it until you get accepted in the Forum Ocean Decade org group. You aren't going to be able, you can get to the website, but you have very limited access to the real important stuff, and you're not on the mailing list. So I offer all of that for your advice. And once you've read the FAQ, and once you've done your first draft, because there's a practice PDF, so you can do your application, your practice application. Once you've done all that, the guidelines and the FAQ and the practice, if you're stuck anywhere after that, come to one of our Mesoamerican meetings, and we've got 4 or 5 of us that are literally digging into all aspects of this, and we're going to try to help everybody who's, you know, not proposal writers. They're a scientist or something like that, and that's what they're good at, and this stuff just drives them crazy. So we're going to try to help everybody between now and January that's in our Mesoamerican Coalition get their application in for their project endorsement.
Good deal, George. Thank you.
You bet.
Good. Well, sounds like we hit the end of our day today, people. Great seeing you all, and look forward to seeing everybody again on December 14th.
So can I have a bumper sticker? Is there, where's the links to the recordings? Of
Absolutely. We'll make a bumper sticker for you, George.
Yeah. Hey.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, what happened today in the meeting? Then what's the bumper sticker, Sylvia? Good to see you, Sylvia. I didn't think you were here.
Yeah.
Hey, Sylvia.
Hey, Daniel.
Sorry for the technical difficulties earlier.
Good. Good. Take care, everybody.
Hang on, I'm dropping this chat thing in. Don't shut it down yet. That they want that they for the Ocean Decade Forum. Anyway, we'll put that down there. All right. So I guess he's gone. Nope, there. Yeah, so give me just, the highlights, the takeaways from today, Sylvia. What was it? You're muted. Or maybe he's on the phone.
No, he's muted.
Yeah, I see he's muted, but I see his lips moving. So I think he's on the cell. I see that. I think he's got his cell phone up to his ear.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll be back. Hello.
Just a recap, I gave a little bit of a talk at the beginning of the call. And I was introducing a nonprofit that I recently joined the board on called Green Planet Waterways.
Oh, yeah,
So we were just talking about, some of the ideas.
What is Green Planet Waterways? Yeah, what is their action?
So the action is essentially they have a boat which is going to plant seagrass, going to do protein skimming, water oxygenation, and remove some of the stressors that are killing the seagrass. And I've been talking to Marcos. Marcos is a retired Navy communications officer, and he saw the problem, and we've been talking about how to kind of make it an autonomous system that can be automated and operate.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So he has a lot of experience on the filtration side. The boat pulls in like 2,000 gallons per minute. And I've been discussing, applying sensors on the egress and ingress to be able to definitively to show how much it's improving the water and identify how many are needed. Because it's not the only approach, but it's the mitigation effort that
well, cool. So that was the I'll call it, Silvio tries to have one percenter speaker. So that was primarily the speaker, and the rest of it was just everybody kind of checking in.
There was some talk about what Daniel was working on with the seaboard.
Oh yeah. Right. And I know that's all so impressive that Daniel's up to. Yeah.
Okay.
Stuff's starting to happen, but all the pledges, the big thing that I'm hearing at COP, I mean, this is really sad. And I began hearing some of people talk about this, about Well, it'll be good if the pledges turn into real dollars. Well, come to find out, 2015, $100 billion was pledged to small island developing states. To this date, that's 7 years ago that those pledges were made. To this date, not one real dollar of billions that was pledged, 100 billion pledged, not one real dollar has been distributed to the small islands. So all of this trillions of dollars of pledges that have been happening since just before Corona, Earth Day, and the, 500 million here, $1 billion there, all this stuff. If that is just political grandstanding stuff, trying to get votes or whatever the hell these billionaires, trillionaires, heads of countries, heads of CEOs and foundations, if they're just grandstanding, we're done. If this doesn't really turn into money for projects, I just don't see how it's going to happen.
You're absolutely right. And as you're talking, it made me think about one benefit that we have with. Have you heard about NFTs?
Yeah, sure. Who hasn't?
So one curious thing about the NFTs, and we're going to go beyond whether or not there's value in an image or a video or whatnot, but it puts an entry on the blockchain and it gives it a specific demarcated value. And one thing that you can do is you can stake. So staking is essentially, you would take this process where, people are pledging and you change it to no longer pledging, because pledging is something that can be, rescinded. The liquidity will never actually come. It's possible to do a million ways of backing out of that. And when you have a situation like you described, and you have 100% of people backing out, it's not sustainable. So staking on a blockchain network as a decentralized finance or DeFi, they call it, would be one of those ways to say, you're pledging it, and to be able to say that you're pledging it, you actually have to put a denomination amount of this amount of tokens for whatever they're worth and lock them up for a certain amount of time.
Well, I'm going to come at it more aggressively than that. I think it should be escrow. You cannot announce a pledge unless you place it in an escrow account. You don't get if they're grandstanding, then we got to take the grandstand thing away until they complete the process. So if you're getting the cart before the horse, they're saying we're going to give 100 billion. Well, great, you're going to give 100 billion, but you can't leverage that now to raise your stock price or your social impact value. You can't do that, and then 6 months later greenwash the shit out of it, and it never happens ever.
Right. So George,
7 years, 100 billion. Somebody lied. $100 billion worth of lies were made 7 years ago.
No, absolutely. And it's because they never had to stake it. So what you're describing, the escrow is embodied by a decentralized blockchain system. So you're basically getting the escrow by virtue of saying, this is a token, this token has this valuation, and this is what this organization accepts. So that pledging process is basically saying you're putting your money into an escrow, but you don't actually have that middle escrow at all, because it's a decentralized system. The system itself operates that way. Yeah, you can say this amount of money. If you're pledging $100 billion, then that means 10% of it needs to go into staking immediately.
Yeah. So as I say, it's just anyway. I do think. I'm hearing other things, and I think this is all going to come about. If there's a difference in 2015, I'm going to call it the public's fear factor was different than it is now. So every CEO, every government leader, and everybody that's a restaurant worker, I mean, the whole global food chain circular economy has been disrupted for 2 years now by an incident called a pandemic. That's got everybody on high sensitivity, and they're looking for anything that will prevent anything like that ever occurring again. So their mental hearts and minds and wallets are in a different dynamic today than we were then. So I'm trying to remain as optimistic, hopeful, with a touch of pessimistic realism that these trillions that are pledged are actually going to come and start flowing reasonably well in 2022. That we'll see the first 66 endorsed and the next 94 endorsed. That just happened like 10 days ago. So we got about 150 endorsed things that by the end of 22 that they will actually be having cash and be able to be deployments. If that happens, then I'm encouraged that we're going to have a shot at this. If we're still sitting here going, where's the money at the end of 2022 and no hard indications in early 2023, I don't know. I just don't see how. We're just sitting around, we're doing the Greta, blah, blah, blah. We're just talking. There's no going happening, not enough doing. There's some stuff here and there. We all know that little money's going here and there, but it ain't enough.
Well, I don't even know if it's going to happen by then. We need to have ways that chip away from the costs, which are going to be incentivized to do because of inflation. But there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It has to be an iterative process that we can begin now.
Anyway, I'm optimistic with a high dose of pessimism or some dose of pessimism that they're going to figure out, again, the ones that they endorsed last June, that those guys are going to start seeing money before the end of 2022. If that happens, then I think, over the next 2 or 3 years that they'll be able to, they're going to accelerate and amplify and they'll have this process maybe streamlined and a little more effective than it is today. But first we got to see some real rubber hitting the pavement that endorsements turn into bucks for projects to get deployed. All right.
And in the meantime, that's what we're solving for, right? Is like how we could not depend on the government to solve for this, and then just use art, innovation, intellectual capital, grit, and our own crowdfunding vehicles and mechanisms to self-fund in the meantime. Yeah.
I want again. Well, yeah. You and I've had that. We need every angle to raise capital for the fixing of the planet that we can think.
That's right. Yeah.
It's just like we need every person doing every action they can do as an individual to be their part of trying to fix this thing up. Nobody knew driving our cars and using plastic bottles might end our species someday. But now that we know this shit, we need everybody. Unless you think you don't breathe oxygen, or you've never used plastic, or never used gas, and never put any CO2 in the air, blah, blah, blah. If you've not done any of that, if your soul's clean, all right, you've got to get out of jail free card. Otherwise, the average American's carbon footprint, this is a good one to do. Go do this, Google this up. What we all owe is based on the current price of a ton of carbon, we all owe like, it's $160,000 back to the planet in a normal lifetime.
What?
Our individual carbon footprint, what car we buy, how many times we fly, what it costs to make the food we ate, the clothes we wear, all of that stuff, that we really have a debt in the hundreds of thousands of dollars that each of us in America, because our footprint's bigger than somebody that's living on some island by about 10 times. But so that's really, we all should have some kind of a blockchain debt card that we all have to work our way down by volunteering or paying it down or something. And we need to write off our individual carbon debt.
Aho, I think it's a really important point. And hopefully as we get more information around data and blue carbon and how we can like implement some of these blue carbon credits, which is really difficult to measure, we can get there. So, and one of the things that we do want to do is sell some of these blue carbons and do more in terms of carbon credits in the carbon credit market. One of the things I'm looking into right now is called Climate DAO, which is exactly staking for carbon credits. We'll get into that at some point. But yeah, I think super interesting. And again, George, thanks for your contributions, and Pedram, yours as well, and Kike for staying on.
What wasn't there somebody that was going to be here today? That part of the reason, I mean, I really wanted to be here, but maybe it's a future meeting. Somebody that was going to or attending the big New York blockchain extravaganza. 3,000 people were registered, and there's like 3,000 on the waiting list.
The BitBaz,
Were they not going to talk today?
Yeah, that was in the beginning of the call.
Oh, okay. That was.
Yeah, but this is actually, George, you should know, this call is live on YouTube right now.
Oh, good.
All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's going to be there. So as soon as we're done, hopefully it'll stay online. It'll stay on YouTube. The goal is, of course, a call to action for Ocean Art. Just to recap, right? The Ocean Art and the call for Ocean Art and Ocean Artists, which we want to do an NFT collection, a non-fungible token collection that can help with proceeds going to investment into the ocean and water. The other thing was, of course, Pedram presenting on what they're doing with their robotics company and project here in Miami Biscayne Bay. And then, of course, lastly, was some of the updates from the Seaworthy Collective with their first cohort of companies. And of course, your golden seal of all the things that are important for the people that do care about the ocean decade to be aware of in terms of engaging with the United Nations. And then lastly, closing up the conversations with a nice argument around carbon credits and the importance of our own carbon emissions, so we can be more aware of what that is. And of course, maybe saying, hey, maybe we could do something about blue carbons and staking. And that's something else that we'll bring up in a later date. But for now, let's go. I'll go ahead and wrap up this call and at least turn off the live on YouTube that we have going on. 1 second. It doesn't give me that option. So I guess we just got to finish.
About carbon is that the only thing that's going to happen to the carbon ton price, I think, is it's going to go higher and higher and higher.
It's going to go higher and higher.
As they remove the subsidies for it, I think things like that are going to drive that carbon equation. I mean, it's already, it's gone from like what, $20 a gigaton to like 30 or 40. What is the current spot market gigaton, Silvio? Ton of
that's
CO2.
Good. It depends on what market. I think that it depends. Like in Korea is where it's paid the highest. In California, I think they have a pretty active carbon pricing dashboard. I think it's about $35 if I'm not mistaken.
I knew it was north of 20 because it was 10 not that long ago. It was $10. So and some people are saying 80, maybe 100 in the near. I mean, not that far away. And that just all of those. Just think of all the spreadsheets and stuff you've done, and you see how the justification is making so much sense now. Imagine whenever the price of carbon doubles.
Right.
So it's everything again is leaning in it's all been going in our direction for a while, but there are some things that have really got to change on the reality side of getting funding happening one way or the other soon, because the tipping points are not going to wait on us to get funded.
Yep, that's right.
They're going to go down their merry way. They're going to tip, and we're going to have regional ecosystem problems. And if they start merging, we're going to have some real problems. So, all right, man. Well, I'm sorry I missed the stuff, but I'll try to catch the recording. And I'm glad I caught Daniel and you and Greg. And I didn't see who else was here, but that's all right.
So to answer that question, it says, according to the estimates of the European IHS Markets Global Carbon Index. It says that Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, according to the estimates, current weighted carbon price is $34.99, which is up
Yeah.
from $20 near the end of 2020.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you see, I mean, there's a year and it's almost doubled, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it stays on that, anything near that trajectory, it will not be very long. And I say all the spreadsheets, even at $30, I'm sure you've got spreadsheets that go, this is win-win for somebody that gets it, you know, to offset with
Yeah, I did read a report, and it needs to like triple. The price needs to triple
Yeah.
for it to get to where it needs to. Yeah.
Really? Is that what
But-
you think more, it'll be almost a no-brainer if it triples?
That's what I mean. I think that's what I read.
Oh.
Is like if we needed at least a tripling of the prices for this for like mangrove or some things to be self-sustaining. And I think what I've been noticing is a lot of people right now, especially now they're using blockchain to
Yep.
pair these carbon credits.
Yep.
And now people are going to use those carbon credits. They pair it to the blockchain, and when it puts on chain to the blockchain,
Yeah.
you can only use it once, and then you have to
Uh-huh.
burn that carbon credit. You can't use it again. And so
Ah.
that's going to further decrease how many carbon credits are in circulation. There's a lot of like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's like double or triple play.
The double dippers. Yeah. The double dippers. Yeah.
And
Good
so
way.
that's gonna, and
Which
so
is-
as,
yeah,
as
it's
you
fraud.
decrease the supply, what does that
Yeah.
mean for the price? The price premium
Right.
that our carbon credits are on chain are gonna have a premium, and we're
Right.
already seeing that right now, as of like
Cool.
3 weeks ago. So
I get that. That
yeah.
makes all sense. Makes good
Mhm.
sense. Yeah.
Mhm.
I say I think that, you know, there's enough people with enough desire that are smart enough that they're going to work through this. I mean, again, the green bond thing has been around a while. We're going to get to some kind of an equation and a thing. There's good projects, good people, and there's people with good money that want to do social impact stuff. So it's going to happen. It's just not happening fast enough, really,
Mm.
because the clock is ticking. That's the problem.
and it's not stopping.
No. I mean, you know, if we were talking about trying to solve even hunger or gender equality, you know, those things are important and they're going to take some time. We're going to get them worked out, but they don't have an environmental death watch. I mean, we're for our ocean, and that's the problem. We are freaking in intensive care here. Anyway, Silvio, it's always good, brother. I wish I could catch more of these and all that, but you're on mute.
I said, yeah, absolutely. Get ready for the next. Thank you so much,
Yep,
George.
all right.
All
Yep,
right,
yep.
everyone.
Later, man.
Good
Take
night.
care. See you.
Thanks, George. Bye, guys.
Yeah, it's late.